guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be making a contemporary stylish top. As you can see me wearing now, the zip. Okay, so this top can be styled as a jacket. It can also be styled as a top down. Wear it with a pant trouser, palazzo trouser, a short, a skirt, depending on how you wish to style it. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you guys how I styled it in the next video, so stay tuned and don't forget to like, share, and also comment and subscribe to this channel. If it's your first time, thank you very much for listening to my page, and don't let this be your last. And if you've always been here, thank you guys. Okay guys, let's begin. My fabric is folded into 4. This is center front, folded into 2, and this is center back, folded also into 2. The next thing to do is to take our shoulder measurements. So I'm going to be coming down with 1 inch. So now we came down 1 inch. I'm going to measure our armhole. So armhole, to get your armhole measurement is your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. So now I'm going to input my armhole here, from after this 1 inch downwards. So now I'm going to be inputting my shoulder measurement to this point so I can get a straight line. Shoulder slope. So next thing we're going to be doing now is to impute our bust measurement on this line. So your bust divided by 4, you impute your bust measurement here. I'm going to add allowance of 2 inches. So sewing allowance of 1 inch and our normal allowance of also 1 inch. So this top you're making now, I'm not going to be giving measuring out our zip allowance at the back, because we're going to fix the zip at the front of this top. So there's no need putting any allowance for the back or at the front. So these are our bust measurements. So now let's divide our armhole by 2 and get our armhole curve. Armhole divided by 2, fold your tape into 2 like this, where I'm doing mine. Then you mark the line. So this is the midpoint of our armhole. So now we're going to be drawing 2 armhole lines here in the front part of this top to help us cut the back. Okay, so now the first one is, let's draw out the back armhole. This is the back armhole. So now let's cover up the front armhole. To get the front armhole, we're going to be going in with 1 inch. 1 inch here, and we're going to curve it inwards past the 1 inch to the shoulder. Okay, so this is the front armhole and this is the back armhole. The next thing to do now is to get our waist measurement. So to get your waist measurements, to measure from your shoulder to the beginning of your fabric to 16 inches. So you mark it here. Inches. So we're going to be inputting our waist measurement here. So my waist measurement is divided by 4 is 6. we're going to be adding 2 inches allowance, just like we did for the bust. Get our hip point. Our hip point is from the waist downwards 9 inches. So you measure from the waist downwards 9 inches. I'm going to be measuring my hip measurement here from this point. My hip measurement is 9.5 inches for my hip measurement, plus 2 inches allowance. Okay, so whatever I have here, as you can see, I have 11.5. I'm going to also impute it at the end of the top, 11.5. As you can see, this is the bust, the armhole, front, the back, this the waist, and this the hip, and this also the ending part of the top. And for the full length of this blouse, I used 29 inches. That's for the full length of this top, 29. So now we're going to be using 3x3 for our neck measurement. The width is going to be 3, and also the length is also going to be 3 for the neck measurement. That's for the front pattern. Why? That's for the front fabric, the center front fabric. Why for the back, we're going to be using the width of 3 inches and the length of 1 inch. The width of 3 inches and the length of 1 inch. So this is the front. We measure 3 inches for the wideness. 3 inches for the wideness. Okay, now what I think I don't want mine to be too close to my neck. I don't want it very tight on my neck, so let me just add half an inch for the length of the front fabric. So I'm going to be using 3 inches for the wideness, while for the length for the front, I'm going to be using 3.5 for the length. So 3 for the wideness, while 3.5 for the length. Y for the back, 3 inches for the wideness of the back. Y for the length, we're going to use 1 inch for the length of the back. That's for the back. So now what we're going to do next is to cut out all the unwanted parts we don't need anymore. Before cutting, I'm going to pin this part down. I've held it down with pins so that when cutting they won't be shifting away from each other. As you can see, we have 2 parts here, front and the back. I just held it down with pins. So I'm going to be cutting out the neck, the armhole, and all. So now let's start by cutting out. So this is the front armhole. We're going to be cutting out the front armhole. So this is the front. So what I'm going to be doing now is to roll a straight line from this point. As you can see, it's a notched end. I'll roll a straight line from this point straight to meet up with this point that I top notched before. So now this is the straight line that I've rolled now. As you can see to this point. So now I'm going to be splitting this line into two. You can see now we have 2 pieces for the front and 1 piece for the back. We have 2 pieces for the front and 1 piece for the back. So this is the front piece. As you can see, both of them. So I've measured 7 inches downward, just to 7 inches downward. So now I'm going to be cutting these 7 inches out. So what I did was I measured out 3 inches for the length, and for the wideness I measured 4.5 inches for the length. So I measured 2 pieces of it for this part of it, this part of this cloth, while the second one is going to be for the other part. So what we're going to do for this now is we are going to, this is one of the front parts, as you can see. This is one of the fronts. Let me take away this part that I've cut out. This is one of the fronts, and this is my 3 inches wide and my 4.5 inches width for this top. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to be coming inwards from here. Inwards, I'm going to be coming inwards with 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches. Then I'm going to be measuring the width of 4. You can see here and here. The wideness I got here is from this wideness of this piece that I cut out. As you can see, here to here. Then we'll later top stitch it. But before we will get to this point, let me just attach every piece together. Okay. So this thing I did now here, you're going to also do it for the second part of the front that we cut out. So now let's get started. I'm going to be folding this into 2. I'm going to be running here and here. Same on both sides. I'll bring it back for you guys to see. So as you can see, I've stitched the both sides. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be turning it over like this. Flip it over. Edges are out. Okay, make sure they're out. So what I'm going to be doing next is, this is called hemming gum. So I've cut out a little piece of it. Okay, and I'm going to be placing it inside. Why? Because I want the edges to be very flat after ironing. So this is really going to help me give that very flat and sharp edge of this fabric. As you can see, I shifted it inside to the end point, so I'm going to be folding it like this, and I'm going to iron it so it will be looking very flat. I'll do it on the both sides. I'm doing it for you guys to see. Okay guys, I've ironed it. As you can see, it's looking very flat. I did it on the both sides. Okay, see, some parts are stiff, meaning they're glued. Some parts are stiff, meaning it's now glued to the fabric, as you can see. So it's now very flat. And okay, so don't forget, we made a mark here and also on this point. We made 2 marks, as you can see. I think the light is too bright. What I'm going to do, I'm going to be top notching it so I can know where my mark is starting from and where it's ending. Okay, so this is it, this and this. So now we're going to be turning it over to the front. This is the front part of it, and we're going to be placing this stuff here because it's going to be at the front and not at the back. So place it here, and this is the back part of it. Don't forget, these are armhole and this is the front part. So now let's turn it over so you can see what I'm doing. So now let's place it together like this. Hope you can see. Watch me closely. Let's place it together. Okay, and let's start pinning. So let's hold this part first so it won't shift while pinning it from the beginning part. So we held it down. So now let's pin it together. As you can see, I've pinned it down. So I'll flip it. So what we're going to do next is I want to go to my sewing machine and sew from this part to this part. I'll sew this from this part to this part. Then after sewing, I'm going to top stitch this part very, very neatly. Then I'll bring it for you guys to see. I'll do it on the both sides also. Okay guys, I'm done joining that stuff. I'm done joining that piece together. Like you can see the back. This is how it looks. You can see the front. It's well ironed. So as you can see, this is how it is for the front. This is how it is for the front. I top stitched here to hold it down. So this is it for the front. And I cut out extra 2 pieces. I cut out extra 2 pieces because I'm going to use extra piece for the lining. So I'm going to place it like this. This is the extra piece. As you can see, it's not carrying anything. It's plain. I'll place it like this. So what I'm going to do now is to sew here. This is the armhole. I'm not going to sew it. This is the shoulder loop. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to sew straight down. Then from here I'll sew straight down. Also, I'm going to be closing up this end. So the only part that's going to be opening now is just the armhole and also the shoulder. So I'm going to be doing same on the second piece. So this is the back. This is the second piece for the back. I'll place it together. Sew the neck. Then I'm going to be joining here down. I'm going to be closing here. So we're going to open this part is where it's going to be open, the shoulder and the armhole. Then I'll bring it for you guys to see. You can see guys, I've ironed it and I've also lined it. See, now we have 2 of it. This is one part of the front, and this is the second part of the front. I have to press this thing back so that it will be flat. See how it's looking. And I also fix the lining also for the back. As you can see, it's 2. So now we're going to be joining the both shoulders together. So now this is the front of one part of it. I'm going to be turning it to, this is the front of the right part of the back, and this is the right part of the front. So we're going to be doing right side facing right side like this, and also right side facing right side for the second shoulder. So the next thing to do now is we are going to open it up like this. You take it up, then you open the back part also. You take it up, then you put it right side facing right side like this. You can see me do. So now we have two parts, two here and also two here. Here for the front, and also this part for the back. You place it together, then you sew a straight line from here through to this part, then also through to this part. You do it on the both shoulder. Then after doing that, you fix your sleeve and you join the both sides together. So now guys, as you can see, I've joined the shoulder, the sleeve. This is the sleeve. Then so what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be adding my zip to this top. This is the zip I'm going to be using for this top. As you can see, a zip that has this movable stuff. This is what I'm going to be using. So now I'm going to measure the length of this zip first. For the length of the zip, we have 14. So I'm going to be taking 14 from here downwards. Okay, so this is where our zip is going to be stopping. So this is where our zip is going to stop. So what I did was I just placed the fabric on top of the zip and pinned it from the beginning where it started from, as you can see, through to the end of this zip. So what I'm going to be doing next is I'm going to be sewing a very tiny and neat stitch down to the end of where the zip is stopping, as you can see. Okay. Then after that, I'm going to be folding this part inwards just to hide it, to make it look very neat. Okay. Then afterwards, I'm done with the top. To make a belt for this top, I'm going to be using this to make a belt. As you can see, I've done a video on this before, how to make a belt with this ring. So I have my fabric already, so I'm going to fold it into two, sew it neatly, and just pass it through. This is going to be the belt for this top. So guys, this is the final outcome of the top. As you can see, this is my belt. This is the final outcome. So I'm going to wear it for you guys so you can see how beautiful it is. So guys, that's the end of the tutorial, and this is how I styled it. Pant trouser that I made. This is the different way I styled, and there's so many other ways to wear the shirt anyway.